Closer. Now, it's never over until the fat lady sings. That expression, of course, is drawn from the world of opera, and as the final opera is, of course, so often performed by the big lady with the booming voice, it sort of makes sense. But critics of a recent performance by the Irish mezzo-soprano Tara Errott, who was performing at Glyndebourne, that's in southern England, seemed rather more preoccupied by her looks than her voice. She was described as stocky and dumpy by a number of male critics, I point out male, after her debut as Octavian in Der Rosenkavalier at the weekend. And that's created a bit of a storm. In just a minute, we'll be getting the views of an American opera singer. First, though, we'll have a listen to some of those barbs from the reviewers.
This Octavian has the demeanour of a scullery maid.
Tara Errott's Octavian is a chubby bundle of puppy fat.
It's hard to imagine this stocky Octavian as this willowy woman's plausible lover.
Tara Errott is dumpy of stature, and whether in bedroom déshabille, disguised as Marianne Dell, or in full aristocratic fig, her costuming makes her resemble something between Heidi and Just William.
Unbelievable, unsightly and unappealing.
Well, they didn't pull their punches, did they? I'm joined now from New York by the opera singer Jennifer Rivera. Jennifer, thanks very much for joining us. Just wonder what you make of those sorts of comments for a singer who, let's be honest, she is a little on the plump side.
Well, first of all, I can't agree with you there. I think that she is a perfectly normal and beautiful woman. It was actually painful for me to just listen to those spoken out loud just now. As someone who makes my living as an opera singer, and I know what goes into it, it's a very difficult art form. You know, it requires a lot of the singer. We are amplifying our voices, you know, without any microphones to as many as 4,000 people, in addition to acting and singing and being on stage and singing in another language. And this role that she's sang is a very challenging role, and by all the critics, they all agreed that she sung it beautifully. So the fact that they needed to focus on these comments...
Is the point, though, Jennifer, these days, that's great. You've got to have a great voice. We recognise that. But at the top end of opera these days, you've got to have a bit more, haven't you? You've got to fit the role you're playing.
Well, it certainly has become a more visual art form in recent years, and that's okay because, you know, that's where we are in the world right now. But you have to find a balance between the vocal and the vocal, frankly, should outweigh the visual, because not just anyone can be an opera singer. It requires years of training. You have to be born with a voice. You know, you can't just take any model and put an opera singing voice in them and put them on stage. We can't be required to look like models and sing beautifully. It just won't work.
No, but at the same time, if I were in the audience, I might just think, now look, this character is meant to be a 16-year-old, very handsome young boy who at some point plays the role of a girl. That's the role they're playing. This isn't fitting the bill for me, and that's taking away the credibility of an opera that I probably pay quite a lot of money for. So I might feel a little bit hard done by seeing her.
So you never met a 16-year-old boy who was anything other than tall and thin?
No, but I mean, this is a 16-year-old... No, that's a very fair point, but this is a 16-year-old boy who is the absolute apple of the eye of a countess, who's clearly drawn to the physical attributes of this young man.
Yes, of course, you know, there can be arguments made for the fact that this is a form of entertainment. But the basic bottom line is that we are opera singers, and we train for as many years as physicians in order to do this thing that we do on stage. And so if you want the most beautiful singing, the highest level of opera singing, you can't expect the bodies to be like models. You can't. And, you know, this particular young woman is at the beginning of her career, and the language used was unnecessarily offensive and frankly a little bit sexist, because you don't see those words being used to describe men, even in opera. Okay. So I think that was what the uproar was about.
Point made. Jennifer Rivera, thank you very much indeed for joining us here on Global.